trying to reconnect with the grassroots to kind of jumpstart his campaign back with the grassroots.
Yeah, well, what's interesting about that is I think I listened to the interview with Steve, is that I found myself agreeing with him on literally every single thing he said. I can't think of one thing he said I don't agree with. Did you hear anything that you didn't like as a voter, not as a news person, but as a voter in the Republican primary? What did you think?
No, it's good. It's good stuff. I'd like it to be, I think some of the things like vetoing these bills is something. I think you got to step the game up because I still think you're talking in political nomenclature, right? Although
okay, you're a step ahead of me.
Right.
It's the phraseology. He's not coming down to the level of, I think, the mainstream voter the way that Carson and Trump does.
Not that they're low information. You're saying talking a very plain-spoken, non-political nomenclature that hits people in the solar plexus.
Speaking in a plain-spoken, non-political nomenclature that hits people in the solar plexus was what I had written out to say. You may have said something similar. But that's it. And he tried to run out the clock, I think, or at least try to use the time he had while he was winning to bone up on some issues. But he ended up losing momentum, and people are starting to understand that politics is sort of like a football game or a basketball game, and there is a momentum that a candidate can have. Carly seems to have it right now, as well as Trump. But I'm hoping that Walker's dip in the polls will mean that he'll start trying to shake it up. The one thing that I might have disagreed with him on was when he said that he didn't want to focus on attacking the other candidates. Not because I don't love that idea. I'm sort of an optimistic person by nature anyway. I don't like a lot of negativity and confrontation if I can avoid it, which makes sense working at Breitbart News. But you do have to punch people in the nose when you believe they're wrong, because that's what resonates with the American people right now at this time. And that's one thing.
I also think that people feel that the country's slipping away and that the world's in chaos and that we're in a crisis, and they don't want to, they're interested in your tax policy about marginal tax rates, but they kind of want to see you step up and start, being Conan the Barbarian and punching some people and saying, hey, I can take this country and turn it around. I can be the leader that can do this. They've seen enough Mitch McConnells and John Boehners. They've cast enough votes and given enough dollars to losers who will not defend what they want defended, right? I mean, I think that's the whole thing about what Trump and Carson in his own quiet way, but he's still a warrior. And even Carly. I mean, Carly comes across as somebody you do not mess with, right? You do not want to cross her.
Carly's best moments of the debate were, of course, her incredible answer about not changing anyone off of the currency, where all of the other suckers in the room gave names, the PC, feel-good, sentimental culture, naming Margaret Thatcher and Rosa Parks to replace our founding fathers.
By the way, we're having Stepman on the last 10 minutes. It's, to me, the most important question in the entire evening because it showed what people really like.
Right, but aside from Carly, when Donald Trump made the most awkward moment of his entire campaign when he called her beautiful, and her just staring off, resolute and determined, like she was in a Rocky movie. It is that moment was as good as anything she said, aside, of course, from her answer on the currency, because it showed people that she's a fighter, and that's what people do want to see. Is that people have underestimated that in the GOP smart set. They've underestimated how big of a deal that is to people in terms of Trump's rise. Trump is rising not because he's better on policy than Scott Walker. He's rising because he's better on connecting with the anger and with the passion and with the enthusiasm of the grassroots conservative voter. And I'll tell you that if he is able to capture the hearts and minds as a leader, I think people are going to really like his policy positions. But unfortunately, in this day and age for Scott Walker, I think right now we're seeing the reverse in terms of the ranking on the voters' priority list. One is be a leader. Two is have the great policy positions.
Okay, I want to apologize to your wife for keeping me away for over an hour and a half tonight on the one night.
No, she's sitting with me. Chip's here. He's staring me down right now. Jobin's curled up. But we're comfortable.
Okay, well, listen, thank you so much for taking time away from the family to do this tonight, and look forward. We're going to have a big article about the Scott Walker interview up on the site here in a little while. So really,
Steve, last comment is that I do think that these polls, the one thing that I was a little upset that Trump is still ahead by so much, because I would like for him to have to change gears and go a little deeper in some of the issues as well. And I, just as a news person, and that's what Scott Walker is going to have to do. You have to be able to shuffle your feet.
Don't you believe that, particularly the CNN one, that shows these the startling rises of people like Carly and even to a degree Marco Rubio? Don't you believe that that is the public is saying that as much as people like the bravado of Donald Trump, that people are going to need more? And look, we're still in mid September, right? The college football national champion, and I believe the Super Bowl champion, at least the two conference champions, will all be crowned, right? We just started the season. Will all be crowned before the first votes cast in the campaign. So we got a long way to go, right? Don't you think people are begging right now for that kind of more substance? You know, they know Donald Trump's not going to be a policy wonk, but I believe some of the answers to that debate the other night could have been so much more. It had so much more bigger impact if he had actually given some of the stuff he knows. The immigration paper is still the best thing out there, and the Second Amendment, we're going to try to get AWR on here to talk about that. The Second Amendment paper is the most detailed policy position and the most conservative.
Yeah, and that's what we need to see. But Second Amendment is great, but we let's start with ISIS. Let's start with the economy. Let's start going deep on those issues. And he did go deep on immigration, which was good. Number two's got to be ISIS. Number three's got to be the economy. So let's see him have the type of knowledge he has about Jeb Bush's business deals and Carly's business deals, which were fantastic when he talks about those things, because he's fluent in it. He speaks the language. He knows this stuff like the back of his hand. He's fantastic when he fights with the media. He now has a fantastic gun and immigration position. But that's not going to be enough, I don't think, for him to ride it all the way to the convention.
Okay, sir. Thank you for taking your time away from your lovely bride tonight to spend it on the one night that you have off at Breitbart News. Appreciate it, Alex.
Off nights? What is he talking about? What is he talking about?
Alex,
bye, guys.
Alex.